Check 1, 2. Man, I'm glad I'm not in Atlanta right now. Hello, Panther fans. Timmy V.O. here with the Panther Comms podcast. Monday in the box. Week 11. The Carolina Panthers bring it home. Well, yeah, they bring home the win. No, mind you, on the road, in overtime. And quite frankly, if you were the unfortunate one that did not get to see this game, my apologies. Bryce Young had a career game. Tetairoa had a career game. I don't have the stats in front of me at this very second. I'm pulling them up right now. But if I'm not mistaken, Bryce Young targeted nine different targets, receivers, running backs, tight end throughout this game. It was crazy. Wow. I made a video on TikTok. If you're not, following me on TikTok, it's a Panther Comms podcast. So check that out. I do a lot more, obviously visuals, film breakdown, replying, and engaging with other Panther fans or football fans, whatnot. And dare say I am myself. No harm done. No harm done. But yeah, the Carolina Panthers pulled it off in typical, cardiac cat fashion. I was watching the game at home with my wife, and I didn't sit down the entire game. I never sit down. I'm that guy, right? I don't go to games much for that very reason. It is what it is. When you're normally there's some situations when you're on the sideline, you're standing a lot, right? Of course, unless you're gassed. But yeah, that was one hell of a game. It really was. So let's break into this box score, because this is Monday in the box. And as always, thank you so much for checking out the Panther Comms podcast. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. Film breakdowns will be uploaded a little more frequently as we end the season, and I'll have a lot of, obviously, wrap ups and some player breakdowns, coaching analysis. Yes, coaching analysis, because one thing I've been saying about Canales and Bryce is that Canales needs to allow Bryce to be Bryce and not be so constrictive with his game planning. Now I know he pulls Bryce in obviously to kind of set the types of plays they want to utilize to attack the opponent. But I really think that Canales will benefit more if we build a scheme around Bryce, right, and drive home the win with the run game. Hit him with a draw play here and there. Then obviously there was one instance that towards the end of the game today where Bryce had Chuba off in the flat area, which would have produced a first down, and he overthrew him. But for the most part, Rico and Chuba were good, great contributors to the passing game today. I still think Rico did not step out. I do not think every single time, because if you know anything about that chalk on the field, it's loose. It doesn't take much to kick up some chalk. Not one bit of chalk came off that field on that sideline shot. When they had the shot on TV, the still shot where Rico was stepping out, and of course they ran it, and it shows where he was pushing off the field when you're coming up, and he was going full speed, folks. So then that's a lot of force kicking up them cleats when you're trying to, right? Not that I didn't see a speck of chalk, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, I thought I'd give my word on that, because I'm sure people are going to ask how I feel about that. Now, of course, I mean there were some questionable calls. on both sides of the field. I'm just being fair. But at the end of the day, the defense finally started giving Bijan his due diligence, meaning they stopped playing me ball, so to say, and actually did their jobs. When you're dealing with somebody like Bijan, and Luke Kuechly was talking about this on the radio, when you're dealing with somebody like Bijan, you cannot be irky jerky with your balance in terms of your run defense, your run defense integrity. Okay, if you have the outside edge, that's where the hell you need to be. If you're supposed to come down in the B gap based on the flow of the offensive line and how the gaps are forming, that's where you need to be, right? And you need to be square and balanced, because he is so shifty, so strong, so explosive. As most folks saw, he almost had 100 yards rushing in the first half. He has that type of explosiveness, and he's not a little guy, folks. Right? So I'm glad to see, and it was obvious to me in the second half that they really started settling down in their gap integrity in terms of the defense and wrapping up. That was key, and that was great to see. And one more thing about the defense. I know a lot of people are talking about Evero and his scheme doesn't work and things of that nature. I really wish folks to understand, when you take out a starting middle linebacker that has been playing all season basically, right? And the guy he plays next to also gets banged up, it's going to be a little slower in terms of the communication and the adaptation, the adapting of the situation when it comes to particular play, being verbal and being consistent with your verbiage and all that other stuff. So it kind of slowed down things. But again, as the game progressed, obviously they made adjustments, and things came together. My point being, Evero cannot play for these guys. Evero's scheme had put this team in I believe in 3 categories in the top 10 in team defense. Top 10 in 3 categories. I have no quarrels, so to say, with folks expressing themselves on social media. I mean, who am I? But I'm not the type of individual to not express myself in a truthful manner, with all due respect. The game of football is not played in the coaching box. It's not played on the sideline. It's played on the field of play. And if your job literally is to play the game of football, I would expect you to do what the heck you're supposed to do. What we saw in the first half of people out there doing what they wanted to do. They were not playing as a cohesive unit. Check Atlanta's stats in the second half. You cannot be predictive in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. You will get ran off the field. Defensively, offensively, you cannot be predictable. And that's what we ran up against the Saints. We were predictable. We didn't scheme the game plan around Bryce. We just copy pasted basically. Oh, this will work. Every single game plan should be based around Bryce Young and all the targets that he has that he can possibly utilize. And that means giving him enough time to see the defense, call an audible if necessary, and find either the hot route or his primary or his secondary or his check down, whatever option he has on the field. Bryce Young is a very smart man. Funny enough, it seems like he can throw the ball perfectly well down the field. If you know, you know. Sorry, I just had a rant. People keep talking about my quarterback, and I don't appreciate that. No, people are going to say what they're going to say, right? I'm not that guy. But, in the same light, I'm going to share as well. And you can check my homework, so to say, when it comes to the game of football and what I predict and how I express my concerns with this team. Okay, so the final score, Panthers 30, Falcons 27. The quarter by quarter scoring, the Panthers had 7, the Falcons had 7. The Panthers scored on their first drive, actually. They came out pretty strong. I was impressed with that. Had a fourth down conversion, and man, they were getting it. They were getting it. 12 plays for 73 yards. Had the ball for 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And Atlanta got the ball first, actually. So it was something to see. I was like, okay, methodical, no mistakes. They were bringing the blitz, and as I mentioned before, Bryce had time to. We didn't have any. We didn't have any delay of games. Bryce had time to look at the defense and make adjustments, and we moved the ball down the field. It was wonderful. He had a 15-yard pass to Coker, and Coker really showed up this game. We'll get into player stats in just a second. That fourth down play was a 22-yard pass to Xavier Legette. Huge play. And, of course, we got down to the 7-yard line, and that's when Bryce hit T-Mac for the first score. And Tetairoa had, again, another remarkable game. Remarkable. That was one heck of a game. He had one heck of a game. Excuse me. This was interesting. Second quarter, the Falcons really started turning on the Jets, and Bijan was just killing us. Penix was dropping the ball behind our linebackers under the safeties, and we didn't have an answer for it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the conversation that was going on between the safeties and the linebackers. And as a linebacker, if you don't have the reps, you don't have the that quick twitch in terms of, okay, I need to do this in this situation. Churlis, I believe is his name. He wasn't getting enough depth, and Roseboom as well. They weren't getting enough depth in the zone concept. So you have guys like London and that tied in for Atlanta, big, long, lanky, that can really catch the football. They were killing us. So London had a big game as well. So it came out in the third quarter. We dropped 10 on them. They didn't score anything. Fourth quarter, we get a touchdown, and the Falcons got 6. All right, so 2 field goals, I'm assuming. Yeah. And then, of course, in overtime, hey, Tommy Tremble. Wow, that was amazing. So, just quick individual stats. Bryce threw for 448 yards, a franchise record, ladies and gentlemen. How's that for all you doubters? I don't think a quarterback who is not tall enough to throw over the middle of the football field would be able to throw for darn near 500 yards and break a franchise record in his third year in the league with his second head coach. Okay. In terms of receiving, Tetairoa had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, his career high. And like I mentioned about Bijan, he ran for 104 yards. Most of that was in the first half. Bryce, 31 to 45. He really showed up. I believe he had 118 QBR. Penix got banged up due to Murray coming in on the blitz off of the right side of the offense. I believe he got his knee tucked underneath him when he got hit. And of course, if you know anything about Penix, he had several surgeries while he was playing in Washington. So, yeah. But Tremble in overtime, that 54-yard catch to set up the game-winning field goal was awesome. I had one of my TikTok Panther fans mentioned to me in my DM that Bryce would Bryce be considered having 2 game-winning touchdown drives in the same game? I mean, technically, no, right? It was because he didn't win the game. He tied it up. But yeah, I get it. So yeah, kind of, sort of. Leggett had a 36-yard touchdown in the third quarter, and that was all air. That was not with a yak. And as you guys know, if you watch the game, Bryce was playing off of a re-injured high ankle sprain. I mean, he got stepped on, rolled on. Poor guy. That kid got heart, man. He's a tough son of a gun. Smart, great kid. Anyway, so the pivotal sequence in this game was when the Panthers erased a 14-point deficit and forced overtime for the first time since 2013. Yeah, man, it's been a while since we swept the Falcons. Yeah, that 14-point deficit was crucial. We were getting chunk plays in the third quarter, and it was great to see. Great to see. It really was. This is one possession in the third quarter, and I have a beef with Canales, and I get to that in a second in terms of going forward on fourth down and in situations where he didn't need to. But that one play was, that one possession, it only took 2 minutes and 56 seconds to score. And that was that Xavier Leggett 36-yard touchdown. Chunk plays, get points on them early, right? And then we forced a fumble on the Falcons kickoff return. And then we got the ball right back. We didn't score. We never should have went to overtime. This game should have been over. Right. So now that's a segue into how I feel about Canales going forward on fourth down when he didn't need to. The first drive of the game, sure. We had momentum. We were getting the ball out. People were catching. We were doing our thing. So sure. But after that, I'm not sure why we needed to, because we weren't getting beat bad, or we weren't down by much. At the most, we were down by 2 touchdowns, and that was in the second quarter. You still have a whole half. It's not necessary. We went for 2. Yes, we went for 2, and we didn't get that extra point after the touchdown, right? And that was after the Xavier Leggett play, actually. That's when we were down 21-10. So that's a point, right? And then there was the fourth down that we went for, and Bryce he ran for it and didn't get it. That was an opportunity for 3, right? For 3 points, a field goal, right? So that's 4 points. When Fitzgerald made it 21-19, that was a 10-play, 63-yarder. When that happened, that was after the turnover. When that happened, we should have been up by 2, at least, right? But the point being, you can't go on the road and leave points on the field. You have to take what you can get when you can get it. Do we convert on fourth down? Sure, but there's a time and a place for that. And this game showed or illustrated that getting your money is better than not, because we wouldn't have had to go to overtime in the first place. So, individual statistics. And thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, for checking out the Panther Collins podcast. Be sure you check out my TikTok account. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I don't post much on Instagram. I really should. But yeah, do that. Okay, so Rico had a mediocre game today, and I think that has something to do with his quad injury. He was moving around a little gingerly here and there. But he looked a little. He's a little dinged up. You gotta remember, he has now 6 years on those legs in the NFL. So, and surgery or 2. But Chuba only had 4 carries, but he averaged 5.3 yards a carry. Yep. And again, we already spoke about Bryce, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Yeah, I'm sorry, he had a 123.2 quarterback rating. I mean, Michael Penix in comparison, he had a 112. He was actually doing his thing out there. But again, it's because he had Drake and Pitts. Pitts didn't do much today, but But London and Mooney were out there, and Bijan killing us in the passing game. Yeah, but man, Bryce Young, franchise record, really went off on these guys. Will he play next week? I don't know, but yeah, whew. Okay. And as I mentioned, the receiving core. Now we can actually count these bad boys. Let's get it right here. Yeah. Oh well, yeah, I was right. All right, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 separate targets for Bryce Young today. Yeah, Tetairoa, 8 catches out of 12 targets. Rico, and that's what I was talking about in terms of the running game. He out there catching it. Rico, 5 receptions off of 7 targets. Xavier Legette, he had 8 targets and 4 catches. So then some of those were not catchable because they were a little short. But anyway, Jalen. See, this is why I understand why Jalen Coker doesn't get more targets. 100%, 4-4. When you throw the ball at Jalen Coker, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to catch that damn thing. He is, man. And contribute his efforts in the end zone for the 2-point conversion too. That was critical. Without that, the Falcons would have won off of that field goal at the other end. Tight end Evans had 2 catches, 2 targets. Tremaine had 2 catches off of 2 targets. Tommy Tremble, probably one of the biggest receptions and yaks of the game, 54 yards. Yeah, and Juba, he should have had more than 1 catch. He had 3 targets. He should have had 2 catches, not 1. But anyway, man, this I love that type of offense where you let Bryce just go out there and be Bryce. Man, he's going to be really dangerous going forward. Yeah, hopefully his ankle injury, playing on it today won't affect him too much. Man, that was one heck of a game. One heck of a game. So one thing that the Panthers proved today, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you blitz Bryce Young, he can still slice you up. Stopping the run game is not going to stop Bryce Young from slicing you up. Okay, and when you choose to drop back in coverage and give an obvious pass defense look, and it's first, second, third down, third manageable, he's going to audible. He's going to give that ball to Rico, and he's going to hit you in the mouth. Buckle up. He's going to give it to Juba. Buckle up. This is why I love about this team finding their potential. We can be extremely unpredictable on offense. Extremely unpredictable on offense. And once we get the depth on defense to play more man-to-man on the edge in terms of the DBs, Evero can do more with what he wants to do with his schemes. That was shown today too. We really only have one DB that can play man-to-man well overall consistently. Mike Jack has gotten burned numerous times. Hell, JC's gotten burned a couple of times. Thornton has gotten burned a lot. He got burned a lot today. Evero's schemes are they're layered, and it relies heavily on communication. So again, when you take out the mic, your play caller, and there's a certain cadence and a certain way of doing things, you have to adapt. And that adaptation, unfortunately, came in the second half instead of the first half. But, yeah, it is what it is. Okay. So the Panthers improved to a 6-5 on the season. We're still second place in the division. And I don't know about y'all, but this proves to me that this team is finally trending in the right direction. We have a franchise quarterback. If you say something about my quarterback, you're going to hear from me. I'm just saying. Bryce Young is going to be a problem. He is going to be a problem. Okay. Let's talk about the individual statistics for the defense real quick before we wrap up. Morag, 11 combined 11 combined tackles. Charles wound up with 10 combined tackles. Roseboom had 10. Nick Scott was flashing. He's a problem. Good Lord, he's a problem. 8 combined tackles. Thornton had 5 combined tackles, 2 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. Rookie. Excuse me, undrafted free agent. Yeah. Scorton, man, what a draft pick. He had a tackle for a loss, 5 combined tackles. I don't think anybody got sacked today. No, there were no sacks today. J.C. Horn had 4 tackles. Mike Jack, 1 pass deflection. Wharton had 1 pass deflection. All right. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for checking out the PantherCons podcast. I'm your host, Timmy V.O. Please drop a subscribe on the YouTube channel. I'm not doing it for monetary purposes, but I like to build a community based around the honest back and forth about the game of football, and talking, strategies and what's going on the field, how these guys are feeling, what they're thinking, things like that, right? And I have no problem doing that because you can see the results for yourself as they play out. Okay? This is what the PantherCon podcast is all about. Football, Carolina Panthers, and the fans. That's it, Jack. So, thanks for checking out the PantherCons podcast. I'm your host, Timmy V.O. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, keep pounding.